Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how are you doing? Yesterday I went to the St James Theatre in Victoria to see a new musical called Urinetown, and this is the programme for it. Now when I say new musical, I mean new musical in London. This has been around since 2001, I believe. It originally opened off Broadway, I think, and then it went on Broadway for about 3 or 4 years. And now it's here, now it's in London. Anyway, so Urinetown, as you may be able to tell, has a bit of a strange name. I mean, when I first heard that there was a musical called Urinetown, I was like, what? But despite its weird name, it's actually quite a fun show. And I mean, I enjoyed it, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So basically, as the name of the show suggests, the show does have a lot to do with urine, peeing, if you want to call it. So there's been a 10-year drought apparently in the place that these people live, and because of that there's been a massive shortage of water, which means that peeing, or going to the toilet, weeing, whatever you want to call it, has been forced to become not free. People who want to pee need to go and use public toilets, and there's not many public toilets either, and they have to pay money to be able to do that because there's not enough water, basically. So that's the setting that we're working with. I know it all sounds really strange, but trust me, it is actually quite good. Anyway, so one of these like public toilet areas is called Public Amenity or something like that, and the owner of that is a lady called Penelope Pennywise, I think, and one of her assistants is a guy called Bobby Strong. Now, like I said, this system has been going on for a while. People, the people of the public have had to pay to go to the toilet, and that's obviously difficult because some people just can't afford to go to the toilet, which sounds ridiculous, but yeah, and one day, Bobby's actual dad can't afford to go to the toilet, but he really needs to go, and so he kind of begs Mrs. Pennywise to go for free just that one time. But obviously she doesn't allow him to do that, and so he just kind of pees in public on the floor or something. And then of course then the officers, the cops, the police come and arrest him and take him to Urinetown. And apparently that's where everybody goes. Anybody who disobeys the rules, anybody who doesn't have money to pee, is taken to Urinetown. And it's not really known what Urinetown is, but that kind of comes along later in the story. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to ruin it, but it's meant to be this mysterious place that nobody really knows anything about. Now Bobby Strong slowly meets a girl called Hope, and when they meet each other they kind of fall in love, I suppose, and they both understand each other very well, and Bobby suddenly realises that, you know, peeing shouldn't cost money and that everybody should be allowed to just pee for free, and so he decides to kind of start a revolution of some sort and go against what everybody else in the town believes in. And that's what drives the rest of the story, basically, and that's where I'm going to leave it as well because, like I said, I don't want to give you the whole story. The show starts with a police officer who's also kind of like the storyteller. He appears every now and again and just gives the audience a bit of background about what's happening and stuff, and I thought he was actually a really good character. He was one of the funniest characters in the show. Very interesting concept to kind of have him do that every now and again. He's also always accompanied by a girl called Sally, and he calls her Little Sally. And Sally's this like kind of young, optimistic girl, and she's quite little as well, obviously that's why people call her Little Sally. And it's like every now and again Sally and that officer put themselves out of the musical and actually look at the musical as a musical, if that makes sense, like make jokes about the musical, and as if they're reminding people that obviously it's a show and they know it's a show, even though all the other characters don't realise they're actually acting, and it's quite interesting. I really like that. That officer who opens the show, and he's actually called Officer Lockstock, was played by an actor called Jonathan Slinger. He was brilliant, he was so funny, his kind of sarcastic delivery of lines was just hilarious to watch. He was really, really good in the role, I loved him. I mean, like I said, he's not just a storyteller, he does actually play some like serious parts in the story as well, but it's just really cool that every now and again he kind of takes himself out and kind of looks at the show as a whole, and I loved his character. Then we've got Little Sally, and she was played by a girl called Karis Jack. She was also really good. She was very, very sweet and innocent. She had that kind of innocent look about her, which I think is needed for the character. Every now and again she asks the Officer Lockstock, about this musical and why this musical's turning out to be so sad and why it can't be happy because musicals are meant to be happy and because the songs are happy, and it's just really cute. I loved her character as well. Both of them in fact worked really well together, and I think for me were two of the highlights. Now Bobby Strong's character is played by Richard Fleeshman. I've seen Richard Fleeshman in quite a few shows before. I loved him in Ghost, so I was very excited to see him in this, and I wasn't disappointed. Acting wise, I thought he was fantastic. I think Richard's definitely proven that he's not just a good looking actor, he can actually act really well and sing very well as well. Although, I have to be honest, in this show I wasn't too impressed by his singing. I'm not sure why, maybe it was just the mics and stuff, but he just didn't sound strong enough, and at times I couldn't even hear him, so yeah, I don't know what happened there because, you know, I saw him in Ghost and he was a fantastic singer in Ghost, so yeah, overall his performance was great and very, very believable, and I enjoyed it. Hope Cladwell, who's the girl that meets Bobby and inspires Bobby in a way, was played by Rosanna Hyland. She was great. She had a lovely voice, she acted it really well, and she had a great chemistry with Richard Fleeshman as well, so yeah, well done to her. Perhaps the best performance in the show, though, came from Jenna Russell. Now, Jenna Russell played Penelope Pennywise, who's kind of the owner of that toilet urine place area, and she was just legendary in the role. She was so funny, she was so sarcastically funny, like unexpectedly funny, and I don't know, it's just like any time she was on stage you couldn't help but watch her because her reactions and everything were just spot on and so detailed, and yeah, I really loved her performance. And again, with Jenna, I've seen her before in quite a few shows and I've always loved her and everything she's done. I think she's one of the best actresses of our time, really. And of course she has an incredible voice as well. A really, really good voice. I loved the songs that she sang in the show. Right, so let's talk about the sets. Now, the St James Theatre is quite a small theatre. I may have mentioned this in some of my videos before, but it actually only opened in 2012. So it's still quite a new theatre, and I've been there a few times. I saw a couple of plays there, and I saw a musical, I think, there 2 years ago. But I've never seen anything like the sets that I saw for this in that theatre. Considering it's a very small theatre, I was very impressed with how amazingly it had transformed into a completely different thing. I mean, the stage just looked so cool. It looked like a different world. It just, you know, even though the stage is quite small, it looked amazing, and yeah, I love the sets. It had that bit of kind of gloomy, sad kind of feel to it, a bit scary, creepy, but it works so well for the show, and it's not often that I pay so much attention to just sets, but with this show I really did like the sets a lot. The music is done by Mark Holman. I loved it. I loved pretty much all the songs in the show. Some of them, of course, were a bit less exciting than the others, but overall they were all really, really good, really nice, very fun to listen to. A couple of them actually I loved so much that I really want to go and get the cast recording now because they were catchy and I enjoy listening to them. And yeah, I think one of them is the song that Bobby Strong sings in the second act called Run Freedom Run. It's meant to be like this kind of choiry gospel song that kind of Bobby gets everybody else in the cast to sing, in the show to sing, and that was just really, really fun to watch. Richard Fleeshman actually sounded really good in this particular song, and everybody else as well, you know, sounded great. It was a great song. It made me feel happy and it was funny and I really enjoyed it. I don't think there's a song list in this program, unfortunately, but there were definitely a few other songs in the show that I loved a lot. Some of the songs are quite big numbers that also have a lot of dancing in them. They were really fun to watch, everybody danced really well, the whole ensemble in fact were very, very strong. There's a song that Bobby and Hope sing together and it's called something like Follow Your Heart or something. It's a duet and I thought that was really good, very catchy, and it had great vocals from both of them, especially the girl playing Hope. And yeah, like I said, I loved the music overall, I thought it was really, really good. One last thing that I want to mention about the show is that it's a very funny show, and I guess you can kind of imagine it being funny because of its name, like Urinetown. Of course it's going to be quite funny, but it's very clever comedy. It's kind of like a satire. They make fun of different things like political systems and the government and how some things are ruled, and I don't know, I thought that was very interesting, that concept of it. There are some really funny moments in the show for sure, and although I'm going to be honest, I didn't love the show, like I didn't adore the show, I think it's a good show. It has some great qualities, and even though I don't think I would want to go back and see it again, I mean I might do, I don't know, I enjoyed it enough and I can see why, you know, it won some Tonys on Broadway when it opened there, and why everybody's been raving about it, because it's very unique. I mean, I can tell you I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, some of the songs and stuff, some of the music was quite similar to things that I'd seen before, like some of the choreography was like quite similar to like Les Mis and stuff, but I suppose that's what the purpose was. It was just to make fun of different things, but especially to make fun of some kind of politics and stuff, and yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great concept, and I mean, anybody who writes a musical called Urinetown, I applaud them. I like unique shows, I like shows that are different, shows that are not scared to do something completely new, and I suppose that's what Urinetown did when it first opened in America. And yeah, I enjoyed it here, and I would definitely recommend it. If you want to see something unique, but of good quality, then definitely go see it at the St James Theatre while it's still on. It's worth seeing at least once because it's something different and it'll be fun to see, I think, and the performances are really good. And yeah, I think it's on at the St James Theatre until the end of May or something like that. I've heard that there might be plans for it to transfer to the West End, but I don't think that it's a good idea, to be honest, personally myself. As much as I enjoyed the show here, I don't think that it's going to be too popular with everybody. Like, obviously theatre goers are going to enjoy it, but I'm not sure how it's going to do in the West End, but who knows? I mean, I'd love for it to transfer, I just don't know how it's going to do. But yeah guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and leave comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye!